what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. I want to dive into blue chip ratio real quick. If you don't know what blue chip ratio is, remember Bud Elliott, 247 Sports, Florida State guy? We'll talk to him closer to the Florida State LSU game.
Did we have him on the media days?
Yeah, we had him on media days last year. It's where we got to know him. But he has, it's for over 15 years now. 247 has put out blue chip ratios. A blue chip prospect is a 4 or a 5-star. The blue chip ratio is the percentage of your roster that is made up of 4 and 5 stars. You know how I feel about recruiting. I don't give a damn about individual recruits, right? That 5-star you love so much could end up sucking. The 3-star that you are mad got in the class because he's bringing you down could end up being the player that you love the most. Like on the micro,
could be.
On the micro, I don't care about recruiting. But in aggregate, the macro, like when you zoom out, class rankings do matter, right? And these things are good indicators of which teams should be really good. And so maybe the main thing that blue chip ratio shows, at least this is kind of the foundation of it all, Jake, is that no team has ever won a national championship without being over the 50% threshold. And so when you look at college football, there are now 16 teams this year that are actually capable of winning a championship. Until I'm proven wrong, I'm going to continue to use that line. If you are not on this list, you're capable. You can make it, right? Look at TCU last year.
I was about to say, you can get
close. Get damn close, but nobody's ever done it. Nobody's ever done it. You've had a couple playoff teams every now and then that get in there. TCU winning the playoffs went the furthest, but the lowest ever totals to win, Jameis Winston in 2013. I want to say Florida State had like a 52%. And then Deshaun Watson and Clemson in 2016, where they had like a 53%. So who then, and Taylor, if you want to go look at Bud Elliott's Twitter or in the document here, I have the picture. I'm sorry.
What do they consider blue chip?
4 or 5-star by the rating system. That's all it is. That's all it is. But you don't get hung up in specifics here. This is all napkin math, painting with broad strokes. Like, I don't care that LSU 71% and Texas is 70, right? Like that means nothing to me. All I care about is this: are you over 50%, and are you achieving what you should be achieving? Like, who are the 3 teams that every single year, Jake, we basically just get put in the top 5? We expect to make the playoffs.
Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia.
Okay, and who's at the top of this list? And really in their own category almost every single year.
Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia.
Yeah, so if you look at the 2023 charts right now, Alabama, 90%. Sorry, that's the, is that, okay. Is that the?
That's the one you had in the document. You had 2.
So this is actually,
okay,
go to the other one. This is the 2022 post-transfer list right there, Taylor. Good job, though.
The post-transfer is as important.
Well, and the new chart will be updated soon with transfers. So this is as the rosters as they stand today, and then before the season, they will update it again. But Alabama at 90% leads the country. That immediately kind of jumps off the page here a bit, Jake, because I feel like I'm not that scared of Alabama this year, right? I mean, because contextually, we know they're replacing all their coaches. They got rid of their Heisman-winning quarterback. Like they have and they don't seem to have a great answer. I mean, they've taken Tyler Buckner out of the transfer portal. And so it feels like Alabama shouldn't be that good. And yet here they sit and Nick is saying, well, I'm giving myself the best possible chance because I just have better players in terms of top to bottom than any other team in the country.
Yeah, and I get stuff like this. I understand stuff like this. And I understand that it does matter. Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia being right there at the top. Like there is a portion of this that matters a bunch. It's not to say all be all. There's still things, and y'all know me, y'all know my recruiting stance. You still have to have development. You still have to have players that go out there with bad intentions every single time. And Kirby does a great job of this. He's not going to get credit for it. You see them at 77% compared to 85 and 90 for Ohio State and Alabama.
Back-to-back years, they've been at 77 too.
Kirby's not afraid to take, and Coach Saban's done this as well, but maybe not as much recently. Kirby is not afraid to take a guy that maybe wasn't that 4 or 5-star guy, and he understands how to implement that guy in offense, in defense, to be really a connector.
Yeah.
For whichever. I mean, look at Stetson and him sticking with Stetson. But now he recruited quarterbacks around him, but he has done a nice job of getting that type of guy in and just, knowing where to place that player for the chemistry, to get people whatever it might be, because that's why you see them at 77% and not 90.
Well, so I think it's funny because we went over this a bit on Snaps yesterday, and Aaron kind of mathed out something similar where, there is something to be said for the Ladd McConkeys of the world. Like when you're making up a total roster, you need some of that underdog grit. I mean, you look at Ohio State, 85%. Why'd they get their ass kicked by Michigan, who's at 54% in this chart 2 years in a row? Because the culture. Maybe they've gotten a bit soft. Maybe they are a bit too obsessed with, being superstars, and they lost a little bit of the gravel. Like one of the main reasons why Georgia's had success the last couple of years, Kirby Smart says it, they have guys that want to eat off the floor. I think when Alabama's had their dips in the Saban, this incredible Saban run, it's been when they've kind of lost some of that edge and a little bit of that nastiness. So, yes, I agree. Look, this is not to say you are a good team. Again, this is to tell me, are your coaches doing what they should with the pieces they have? And then you look at a school like Texas A&M, who is number 4 on this list, and I mean, how are you not just immediately angry if you're an Aggie fan? I mean, to be right behind Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia in talent, and yet go 5-7, not make a bowl game, and had you not been LSU, you would have had the worst record in the SEC. It boggles the mind. Texas and Oklahoma are 7th and 8th. They're some of the only, they're 70%, and yet not another Big 12 team is on this list, Jake, and yet they went 6-7 and 8-5 in the Big 12 last year. That's pathetic. That's coaches who are wasting that talent. And then the flip side of that are guys like Harbaugh at Michigan who are punching up.
See, this is always a tough conversation for me, and the fellows that put this together, this is great work, and it does stay true a lot of times. But like off the top of my head, I'm thinking Utah, I'm thinking Washington, I'm thinking Tennessee. Those teams can win national championships. I'm not saying they're the favorite by any means.
Well, but they've never.
Utah's won the Pac-12. Two times in a row. So you got Pac-12 teams littered all around. No. They hadn't won the conference. Utah's won the conference.
Well, only one Pac-12 team's in here, and it's the only member that. Oh yeah, you're right. Oregon's been in there. You're right.
USC's still in the Pac-12.
No, I know, but I was thinking SC because SC is the only new member of the 50% club, and it is kind of interesting because what did we say just a second ago? Who are the lowest national champions ever that have come from this? Teams that were right at the 52% that had transcendent talent at quarterback. So Caleb Williams, pressure on. No, I feel you, Jake. Like Utah and them, I think to those staff's credit, if you put a Kyle Whittingham with a Texas roster, an Oklahoma roster, an A&M roster, they're going to be much better than they are currently. Kalen DeBoer, like whoever you want to say. The problem is, again, just we never have seen a team win a natty that's been under the 50% threshold. So until that happens,
how long have they been doing this?
About almost 20 years. That's what I'm saying. I think it's 16 years. So it's not, it's not 100. Like it's not a small sample size, but it's not like an overwhelming one. Eventually, somebody will break through. But until that moment happens, again, I feel comfortable in saying that the national champion is going to come from this list.
Well, I can say the same thing, but it's more about the top 5 or 6 teams on this list more than it is. What would you say, 16?
Well, I mean, I guess, but like look at Michigan, right? Michigan very close last year. They were right at 50%. Again, I don't think USC is going to win the Natty. I do not, but they do feel similar to the Clemson and the Florida State team that I was talking. A little surprised not to see Florida State on this list.
Yeah,
with Miami and Florida making.
I was trying to go through the conference. Like I said, I kind of stopped out west because I didn't feel like I had to get much farther. Just of teams that I truly feel like they're like I would take Utah over half this list.
Well, again, but that's but I think we're kind of fundamentally. I don't think that's.
But no, my whole argument is there's 3 teams right now, and Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia that this list feels like it is leaning on right now, and they're throwing the other teams in there, but it's really like it's a conversation of those 3 teams at 90 and 85, and even Georgia at 77%, because I still think there's teams that I would give a much higher chance to win a national championship than almost every team, in the 7 through 16 range.
Well, yeah, no, I agree. See, that's what I'm saying, though. I'm not saying that, like, these other teams are going to win a natty. The teams that I think will win a natty on this group, like you said, the top three, Michigan, I would say yes. Capable at least. I don't know about Clemson, man. If Garrett Riley and Kate Klubnik are good, then immediately they're back in the conversation. Maybe Oregon has some potential there. Maybe SC. So like, there's probably like 5 or 6 out of LSU would probably be in that number. I mean, things could break LSU's way, and they could end up being. So there's probably 5 or 6 on here that I would take as well. Again, I'm more using this as a metric: who's overachieving, who's underachieving, and
Right.
and how judgmental should we be of them, right? Like, okay, Billy Napier, Florida should be better, but it's year one. We'll give him a little bit of a break. Brent Venables, Oklahoma should be significantly better. Year one last year, we'll give him a bit of a break. But like Sark, this should be it for Sark. If he can't win this year, it's indefensible. It's inexcusable. He's recruited great, but you have to develop that talent.
Yeah, to your point and what you're talking about, that is a little bit of a different conversation, and I do agree with you. Texas A&M, you're 73%. You didn't make a bowl game
Pathetic.
last year. Texas and Oklahoma, yeah, you got to be better. Certainly, if you're Texas, Oklahoma, still, I think that standard is a standard, and you've been a coach for a long time. You're not going to get too many passes like this is it. Like year 2. You got to prove something. Florida is a team that got blown out in Las Vegas Bowl by Oregon State. Miami, what do you call Mario Cristobal?
Mario Cristofraud.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Penn State actually I think is going to be really good this year, but the Auburn Tigers sitting there at the back end of it, you got to prove something as well.
Is scary. Auburn is to me on this list because there's no way they should be able to attract that many players to that school. Like, there's so much drama. They've changed coaches so many times.
Yeah, but still, think about where they're located and the recruiting around them.
They're still, and it's why someone like Hugh Freeze is like, okay, actually, the potential's pretty massive there because they're still relevant, even though they shouldn't be at all. I don't think they're going to be anything this year, but I just mean more going forward in the Freeze era.
I'll tell you what, this list also makes you appreciate. Whittingham at Utah, Sonny Dykes at TCU,
100%.
and it makes you appreciate even Bielema, what he did at Illinois last year. Remember, if Michigan's kicker doesn't have a bionic leg and Illinois doesn't get just a blown pass interference call, they beat Michigan last year in their own stadium.
I agree. And that's what I mainly use this for. Who are we giving credit to for overachieving and who are we demonizing for underachieving? Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.